Is he alive or dead? Tonight, new information into the mysterious disappearance of notorious double murderer Ronald Jorgensen. The convicted murderer went missing after his car was discovered at the bottom of a cliff in Kaikoura more than 21 years ago. Now, Jorgensen had been given lifelong parole after serving 18 years for his part in the infamous Bassett Road murders. 7 years ago, he was declared dead. Now, though, there are new claims that police may have assisted with his disappearance. Tonight, for the first time, a Kaikoura woman says she took a call from Jorgensen in Australia a week after he disappeared. A special report from Brent Fraser of the investigative unit.
Ronald Jorgensen rose to fame for his role in the notorious 1963 Bassett Road machine gun murders. 2 men were shot in Remuera in the head and body. 21 years later, Jorgensen, on lifelong parole, living with his father in Kaikoura, hit the headlines again when he disappeared in mysterious circumstances. It was at the bottom of this steep cliff face just south of Kaikoura that Ronald Jorgensen again gained the attention of police. At 9 o'clock in the morning, a week before Christmas 1984, his Cortina car was found down there smashed with the keys in it. There was no trace of him. The car was a write-off. Its roof pushed in, the doors jammed closed. Jorgensen was eventually declared dead. But did he die, or did he fake his death and escape?
My belief, I think he's still alive. He's too cunning to be caught out.
Now, a former Kaikoura telephone exchange operator who knew Ronald Jorgensen has revealed why he wasn't found in his car. More than a week after he disappeared, she was working on the midnight to 6 shift at the exchange when she got a call from Sydney.
They came through and asked for Jorgie's father's number, which I connected and rang. Then I checked to see if they got a reply. And they asked me to ring it again. And Jorgie spoke. Not to me, to the operator in Sydney. I said, hello, yes, our friend.
You're absolutely sure that that was him?
100%.
How can you be absolutely sure that it was his voice?
Once heard, never forgotten. It was very distinctive.
Even more than 21 years on, Jenny has a clear memory of what Jorgensen said while she was attempting to get his father online, brief as it was.
Something about, well, the old man must be asleep. Something like that.
At that stage, did you consider calling the police?
No. No.
You didn't want to, or you just didn't?
Why? Why call the police? I think they'd be pleased to see the back of him too.
2 years after Jorgensen went missing and was presumed dead, an old schoolmate came across him in Perth, Australia. He passed on the information to the New Zealand police, but was shocked by their reaction.
They told me that they had a fair idea he was there. To get him deported and bring a court case and bring all evidence against him would cost about $1 million. And they didn't have $1 million, so they asked me to keep quiet.
Were you surprised by the police reaction to that?
Yes, it did. It did surprise me. Yeah, I was quite knocked back by it, really.
What did you think?
That the police aren't very straight. That was my thinking of it.
So, did Jorgensen fake his own death, or was he helped? Well, now living here on the Australian Gold Coast, former Dunedin detective Tom Lewis believes that Jorgensen was assisted to escape New Zealand by his former colleagues, the New Zealand police. The very police that were looking for Jorgensen nearly 21 years ago after his car was found at the bottom of a cliff south of Kaikoura. Tom Lewis believes that Jorgensen may have been given a new job as an informant for the police in Perth. What makes you think that the New Zealand police would assist Jorgensen in leaving Kaikoura?
One, the accident was obviously a jack-up, and two, that he had to have some help, and that help came from the New Zealand police.
What evidence do you have that the New Zealand police assisted him to leave?
Personally, I have no doubt whatsoever, because I have seen this happen many times before. Also, I have people in the police that that served in Christchurch that have told me quite plainly that the whole thing was a jack-up.
The former detective claims that 3 Christchurch detectives provided him with the information about police assisting Jorgensen relocate. Are you prepared to name those detectives?
I'd rather not, because I don't know that some of them aren't still in the job, and you know what happens to whistleblowers in the New Zealand police.
Tom Lewis now believes there should be a Royal Commission of Inquiry into Jorgensen's disappearance. Would you be prepared to give evidence?
Certainly, yeah. For what I could give, I would certainly give evidence.
And it's in Perth, across the other side of Australia, where Jorgensen has been spotted. With a population of 1.5 million people, finding Jorgensen was never going to be an easy task. It was right here in this colourful Subiaco marketplace in Perth that Ronald Jorgensen was seen by 2 New Zealanders on 2 separate occasions. Now, both of these people knew him from the past. When one of them, former Dunedin detective Tom Lewis, saw him here in 1991, he says that he didn't try to attract his attention because he feared for his and his family's safety. But when former schoolmate Bill Mason saw him here 5 years earlier, he says that when Ronald Jorgensen recognised him, he quickly disappeared into the crowd.
So the wife followed him, and he ran out into a car park and away. And we never saw him again.
Did he recognise you?
Well, he didn't. I don't think he even saw me, to be honest. I passed him by.
Why didn't you call the police?
Well, again, when you're convinced in your own mind that the police had helped him get out of New Zealand in the first place, and you don't know whether there's any collusion between the West Australian police and the New Zealand police over this individual, then you'd be putting yourself in a pretty envious position.
Armed with a photo, we decided to try and find anyone who had heard of him or would recognise him. You recognise him at all?
Can't say that I've seen the person before. I don't recognise him, no.
Not at all?
No, not at all.
We're looking for this chap here. And then a surprise.
I think he might have been in the markets about 16 years ago. Okay, it's a long time ago now.
And you're absolutely sure that you recognise this man here?
Yep, yep. I'm pretty sure it's Ronald. Okay.
Is that the name he went under?
Yep, yep, and he was a painter.
What type of painting did he do?
Slightly shamanic.
I'll be painting totally different things in future.
The stall operator was the only person at the Subiaco marketplace who said she recognised the photo I had of Jorgensen. Tracy also told me that she believed he may have died of cancer a year and a half ago. So if Ronald Jorgensen did die here in Perth more than a year ago, this is where he would be buried, at Karrakatta, Perth's main cemetery. The only problem is the local sexton says his name doesn't come up on the register, but he did say he could have been buried using another name.
He certainly looked fit and healthy the last time I saw him, and 75 is not old these days, so who knows?
So the former head of the Jorgensen inquiry, Neville Stokes, says he welcomes the latest sightings of Jorgensen in Perth. He says it fits his theory that the accident seen at Kaikoura was staged and was not a murder. Now, the former detective says there is no evidence to show that any police involved in the Jorgensen inquiry were motivated to help in his disappearance. If you've got any information on Ronald and where he might be, you can contact us at Closeup, that is tvnz.co.nz. The keyword there, Closeup.